This is Joe Malenko. Give me back my pro wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know now, you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and it is me, your host, Jimmy Street, here as always, and I hope y'all are doing awesome today. We have a really cool show coming up. Today, we have the one and only Joe Malenko on the podcast today. I'm so excited to talk to him. Joe was so good in the ring, man. Him and his brother, Dean, have always been incredible wrestlers. I just love that Malenko style of wrestling. Truly an art form in itself, and so crisp, so you just can't see through it. And I'm no expert on this stuff. I like to compliment on what I see and like, and man, those Malenko guys can sure wrestle, and that's Malenko's and good wrestling, that is synonymous essentially. So I know that one of my favorite matches of the Malenko family of all time is that match that Joe and Dean had with the Bulldogs in Japan in '89. It is an absolute perfect match. I can't wait to talk to him about it. I can't wait to talk to him about everything we got planned today. So y'all just stay tuned for that. But before we get to that, we got to talk about last episode. Of course, that was This Month in Wrestling History with Quinton Quarisma, episode 11. He was covering May, and Quinton always shows up with a great show, and we greatly appreciate him so much for doing what he does for the show and for us, and just honestly, he's a great part of the team, and we couldn't do it without him for sure. So y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed that. If y'all haven't checked that out, please go do that. I think y'all will enjoy it. All right, guys, we're keeping the open brief today. No need to waste time. Let's go ahead and get to the main man himself. Quinton's joining me on the other side. We'll be right back with the one and only Joe Malenko on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling after these messages.
This Saturday night, May the 30th, CWA/USWO invades Lawrenceburg, Tennessee at the National Guard Armory at 2113 Helton Drive. Main event of the evening is title versus title. You have the current USWO champion, Colton Cage, to take on the Saw Wrestling champion, Ray Bruce. This is title versus title. Only one winner is going to come out of this. Also, LT Falk to take on the Great Mephisto with Lady Satan in his corner. Also, Jennifer Justice to take on the Queen of Destruction, Destiny. All this plus much, much more this Saturday night, May the 30th in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee at the National Guard Armory. Doors open at 6. Bail time is 7 p.m., so be there.
All right, we are back with a very, very special guest today. This is a gentleman that his name is synonymous with incredible professional wrestling. His family is a legacy that is on par with some of the all-time greats. Welcome to the show, the one and only Joe Malenko.
Thank God I'm the one and only.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
if you hang around long enough, you're a legacy.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the way it should be, in my opinion. So.
Not really. No, it shouldn't be. Because this guy Quarisma, wherever the hell he is, I mean,
yeah. Come on, Q. Where you at?
I'm trying to get my mic to work.
It's working, so you're good.
Is it working? Okay. All right. Yeah.
Who's this guy, Mike, and why is he not working? Does he have his papers?
Yeah.
Do I need to call a certain organization?
Yes, call them. Please. So I guess let's go ahead and get it cranked up. How was it growing up with your dad being Professor Boris Malenko?
you don't really grasp what that is and what it means until much later in life. I mean, you pick up bits and pieces of it, but it's as is typical with any son of a father. He's a dad. He just does something a little different than the rest of the kids' dads do.
Yeah.
And you're sort of used to it, and you embrace it, and I mean, it's fun, but you really pick up on it later. And when it really sets in is when you're much older and people still remember, and that's when it marks itself as being something pretty special.
Yeah.
When people come up to you 50 years later and they say, I want to let you know that your dad created an environment at the Fort Homer Hesley Armory that myself and my grandfather used to go to. And, those are the great memories of me and my grandfather. And now he's gone, and that's all I've got left is those memories of him and I watching the Great Malenko.
Yeah.
How do you don't top that crap, but that doesn't come until much later on.
All right. Tell us one or two stories about Karl Gotch.
One or two stories about Karl Gotch. There's a well-known thing that when people do that, when they repeat it, what they're really doing is trying to give themselves time so that they can make up something because there were no stories, or because there were so many stories, they've got to cull out of those stories a couple good stories. A couple good stories about Karl Gotch. Look, I think it's more that people want to know, was he all that he was purported to be? That's the big thing. It wasn't that. Yeah, there were a lot of little cutesy kind of things that happened in the course of things. I'll give you a story. It's not necessarily a cute story, but it's a story that really defined who Karl was, and not necessarily in a good way. So Masami Soranaka was Karl's son-in-law, married obviously to Karl's daughter, and we were wrestling. We were up on a mat and we were training, but we were really going at it. He was a tough guy. There were two guys. There were two brothers. It was Masami, and then Tsuneo was the other brother. They were Hawaiian based, and they were both tough guys on a mat. Tsuneo was probably meaner, but Masami had a lot of skill. So we're going at it, and all of a sudden Masami just stops in the middle of us shooting, and he starts convulsing, drops to the mat. I mean, he's having a full out convulsion and not doing real well. And we call 911. Emergency vehicle shows up, takes Masami into the back of the car. Myself and my dad and Karl get into the back of the car. Well, as Masami is still not all there, he's kind of flailing, and he accidentally slaps Karl. we had to hold Karl back, and it was only later that Karl kind of realized that, holy crap, the guy's having a seizure. It's not like he has control of his limbs. He didn't slap me on purpose. But the reason I bring that up is because that's who Karl was. I mean, Karl was he was a man's man, and you weren't going to touch him. And I don't care for whatever reason. He was a tough guy, yeah. And even in that moment, he was ready to fight Masami, who was his son-in-law, and who was having a freaking seizure.
Oh man!
And it took a second of him going, "Oh shit, yeah."
Hold on.
Yeah. So kind of funny, but not really funny.
Right.
Really kind of lets you know who Karl was, and I'm, by saying that, I'm not saying, look, he wasn't. I'm not saying that it was a dick.
Right.
It could be. We can all. But
sure.
he was just always ready. He was always ready. He was always ready to protect himself. He was always ready to throw it down, and he was always ready to kick most people's asses because he was an amazing man and a really tough sumbitch.
Yeah.
So they gave us a story. So tell us about you working as Karl Gotch Jr. in Mexico.
So when I was getting ready to, I was up in the Carolinas. I was refereeing some for the Crockett's Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling for Florida. I had refereed a little bit in Florida because my dad, even though my dad, the Eddie Graham, Boris Malenko feud and the existing and the underlying tensions of the two people and their relationship, very strong, not great at times. Eddie treated me well as a young man. So he gave me the opportunity at 17 years of age to wrestle, to referee. And so I refereed around the state. And then eventually I made my way up to the Carolinas because my dad was up in the Carolinas. And I refereed up there some. And I just, I started training a little bit. A guy by the name of Abe Jacobs worked with me some, which he was a good old standard guy, just had a good way about him. Super nice guy. He was partners with Don Curtis for a while. And then, Karl came to me and said, look, I've got an opportunity if you want, because I was looking for something to do. I was pretty newly married when all of that came about. I was telling Karl that I was looking for something to do. So the Mexico gig came up with Flores to go down there. I had the opportunity to go down there on a per week basis. I think I was making $500 a week. But at the time, in 1978, in Mexico, where everything was cheap as cheap can be, you could live for $100 a week. So I was making decent money, and Karl said, "Look, I'll get you this opportunity." But then, as we were approaching closer to my date to leave out, he goes, "Do you want to, would you want to go and use my name?" And of course, I'm, hell yeah, I'd be.
Yeah.
I sort of cleared it with my dad because I wanted to make sure my dad understood that it wasn't me replacing. Yeah,
Right.
it's that slippery slope of hey Pop, I want to take Karl's name, but I still love you. I'll always be your son. But he's kind of my second dad, and he has some name recognition in Mexico. So I went down there using his name. Didn't do great. I did okay. It was I was new to the business, new to being in a ring as a pro, and then throw into that mix that all of a sudden now you've got the lucha libre style, which was so different than I had learned and watched all those years growing up with all the greats that you could ever name from days gone by. So it was tough. And I enjoyed myself there. I didn't realize how great the territory was until I left. It's there's kind of a theme here that sometimes it takes you get a little bit older where you can look back and go, damn it, that was pretty good. I don't know what I was bitching and moaning about. I lived really well in Mexico at the time, and to be Karl Gotch Jr. was a major pat on the back from Karl.
Yeah.
Who never asked anybody else to use his name ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I happen to mention it was never.
That's huge. Yeah. It is. This next question, I've spoken to this gentleman about this, I think, but do you all know the Weingroff family? George is a good friend of the show. Saul and that family. Do you all know them? I'm sure.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saul Weingroff was a good friend of my dad's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he managed the Von Brauners, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And,
Carl.
Just this, again, I'm a kid, and all these people just treated me so well. And Saul was a really funny guy. I'll tell you a quick Saul Weingroff story. So he drives up one time. My dad and I are standing curbside somewhere. I don't remember where the hell it was. He drives up and he has a phone up to his ear. And he's talking on the phone in his car. He's talking on the phone. They didn't have phones in cars back then.
Right.
If they did, it wasn't just a regular phone. Well, he had taken a regular phone, he put it in his car, and he was just using it as a prop, as a gift.
I love it.
Like, okay, well, I guess if that does it for you.
Just the optics.
Because it wasn't connected to anything. It was just I don't know if it was just a handset, because cell phones. I mean, not even the big block cell phones existed at that point in time.
Yeah.
50 some odd years.
I it seemed like you guys, I mean, the shooters of the world all know each other, I think, at least in some point. So
the boys, I mean, take that off to the side, whether or not you're a legit guy, and by legit, I mean wrestler / shooter, hooker, whatever the hell you want to call guys who really know how to handle themselves. Or they had a lot of amateur and they did great as an amateur. Take all that off to the side. Most of the boys know most of the boys.
Yeah.
Unless you're, back then, unless you were working independent somewhere, you were in some territory that was kind of really small and nobody was paying attention to. Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
You may not have run into each other because you may have been so far apart territory wise, but you heard of people, you knew about them.
Yeah. Well, to kind of go, a little back to the normal topic here. So were there, and you're talking about small territories, and this is one of our favorite small territories. Were there ever any talks of bringing you into All-Star Wrestling in Knoxville during that war?
I was there.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. So there were more than talks.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's not like anybody, it's not like I got a big, hey, Joe, we're doing something up here. My dad just called me and goes, hey, get your ass up here. Okay, coming up. And I won't be Gotch Jr. I think I went under the name Joe Sims because my dad was working up there, so I couldn't use the name Malenko.
Right.
And actually, that was the place that I worked against my dad for the one and only time. I had a match against him, singles match, And so it would have been really weird had it been, father versus son kind of thing. Although I did a brother versus brother thing. I never did fight my mom in the ring. I fought her a lot outside of the ring.
So was she the toughest of you all?
Are you? She was pretty tough. Yeah, I made the mistake at one time. So I'm up in my dad's gym, Malenko's Health Club. And a lot of people would come in and out, and we actually had a mat there where we would train. So all the guys we had world champions, Olympic champions, some of the boys who were just great wrestlers coming in and out. We all get on the mat and beat the crap out of each other. And myself and the Sheik, that's how I get that guttural thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one day I go up there, and my mom asked me to do something. She's sitting on one side of the desk. There was a little entryway, a little alcove at the beginning of the place. And so she's sitting at a desk, and I turned left, and she's to the right. And then I turned back, and she said, can you do something? I was busy, and I kind of got pissy, and I think I dropped the F-bomb. I wasn't a big F-bomb guy. I'm still not to this day.
Right, yeah.
We could probably have a podcast about that one. But
okay.
I said something to her, and she said something back, and then I really got pissed, and I just said, you can do whatever you need to do with that word. So my mom, this kind of, she wasn't a little old lady, but she wasn't a big lady, and she was getting older. She could have beat Usain Bolt in that moment. I've never seen anybody move so fast in my life from behind that desk to being on top of me.
Man.
It's not like she could hurt me, so I always had to be careful when she was, hitting me or just kind of trying to shake me around. I always had to be careful not to laugh, because if I laughed, it'd just piss her off more. She wouldn't hurt me anymore, but it would piss her off more, and then, she'd just keep trying. Okay.
I'm done. Tap.
I'm done. Tap. I'm out. Yeah, I promise not to say that again. I don't think I ever cussed at my mom again.
Hey, that's one time you learn your lesson on one chance. So that's important, Yeah.
All right, so tell us about the your dad's wrestling school and
the school.
I heard it was like in a mattress factory or something.
Well, there were multiple schools. There was only one school, but it had multiple locations over the course of time. So at one point in time, yes, we were in a mattress factory, the Florida Mattress. It was in a kind of a seedy area of town. Typical rundown old place, but magical in some sense of the word. And we had a ton of guys coming through. And this is again my point. You don't realize until later on when you look back and you go, holy my gosh, we had a bunch of folks. We had. Here's the thing with professional wrestling schools, and I have to shake my head pretty much every day when I see guys out there saying, "Yeah, come to my school, read my book, do this, do that." If I'm going to spend money with you and you don't have the connections and the wherewithal, well, first of all, if you don't have the history of placing guys, and if you don't have the history and the connections and the wherewithal to get me into an organization where I'm really going to make money and earn a living, then I don't know what good you are for purposes of that. And I'll backtrack a little bit. When guys used to come to the school, I used to tell them all the time, if you want to get ahead in this business, you're gonna have to pay your dues, and paying your dues is tough. That means being in shape. That means learning how to be ring savvy and taking bumps and hurting the crap out of yourself before you figure out how not to hurt yourself as bad. Mm-hmm. Protecting the guy that you're in there with, doing all these things. But none of that means anything unless I can get you some. If you want to do that, and you really want to become an elite guy in the business and make a living, earn a living, be able to say I'm a professional wrestler. We did that. We did that 30 times with guys, 40 times with guys. In fact, we had guys who went out and earned their living and then went on to help other people earn their living in the business. That's the ultimate for me. If I'm going to charge you $2,000 to come into a school and I can't do that for you, then I don't think I'm that good. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. But then there are the guys who just want to come and have fun. And I tell those guys all the time, knock yourself out. When they would come in to see us and they didn't really want to pay their dues, put in their time, that's okay. Just don't bitch and moan that you're not getting anywhere. Have fun. Go out there, work in front of a crowd of 50 people, make $20, enjoy the living crap out of yourself. buy your pair of tights and show them proudly and do whatever you got to do. And that's kind of the same for a lot of the schools. If if you just want to go and have a good time, if you don't mind dropping a couple grand to have a good time, go do it. Who am I to tell you that that's a stupid thing to do? It would only be stupid. I would only say it was stupid if you're telling me you want to get to the WWE and you're going to, Bob Frinnitz, the Bob Frinnitz School of Professional Wrestling in Chillicothe, Ohio. And that's not to take away from Bobby Fulton. I'm not saying there's. But if you go to some little place like that and you're paying exorbitant prices and you're dealing with somebody who never really had a career themselves and they can't get you somewhere, have a great time if you want. But don't bitch and moan that I've been doing this for 5 years, I haven't gotten a break yet. Well, yeah, because you don't deserve a break and you didn't go to the right place.
Yeah,
that was a lot. I just unpacked a lot right there.
No, that's good. Tell me when Bob Cook picked up that awesome punch of his, man. Wow.
I think we went out to lunch one time and I didn't have any money and started there.
I understand. Okay. Go ahead, Quinn.
It really hurt.
All right. So we'll move on a little bit. We'll go up to like 1985. Tell us about working in UWF in Japan.
Totally different experience than a lot of other. Look, no matter what you do in the business of in the business of sports, wrestling in particular, there are elements that are always going to be the same. The traveling, the camaraderie, the being around the boys and doing the things you do. But there's a big difference between the shoot organizations or the worked shoot organizations and the and the working organizations, the true pro wrestling organizations. Big difference. Training is different. The matches are more legit. We were in there. I had the opportunity to be in there. The first dojo. Well, UWF was Sayama, Tiger Mask, Satoru Sayama, who was an amazing athlete, and Muay Thai guy who kind of brought that on over into wrestling, and that's what started the whole mixed martial arts stuff. Mm-hmm. And Fujiwara, who also is a phenomenal hand and a great catch guy, and then just a ton of great people. So it was different because it's a different style. It was different because of the expectations of the crowd. They're not looking for you to do flying stuff off the top rope or anything like that. It's all it's a lot of in and out mat work, and I love that. I loved bringing the legitimacy of wrestling and now what they call catch wrestling into the pro world, because for me it gave me my gimmick. It gave my brother his initial gimmick, and then eventually he kind of morphed into much more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
UWF in particular was steeped with that. That's that was the foundation for things.
Yeah. Well, speaking of steeped, to continue on, you and your brother worked the 1988 All Japan Excite series. Tell us what you remember about that tour.
88 Excite series. I couldn't tell you a damn thing. You have to now laser it down just a notch.
Yeah, I understand. Anything you want to ask about that?
When was 1988? When the hell was it?
It was a while ago, I think.
Okay, so was 88 your first tour with All Japan?
We're doing a book right now. My brother and I are doing it. Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's about the Malenko. It's about the Malenkos and the Malenko influence and outreach that we've had over the years, and even some of it we didn't know about until just recently. How many guys? So where was that going? What'd you ask me?
You were talking about the book, and we were talking about All Japan, your first tour. Was that
many knocks to the head? I don't remember. I don't remember if that's the first time I went for All Japan. It may be.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I know that. I know that when I went to work for Bob, it was it was really different, but I loved it because again, you take the pro stuff that you're normally that you're accustomed to, and then you mix into that so much more faster paced, legitimate kind of wrestling, shooting, submission stuff, and that blend for me just tickled the crap out of me. Now, add to it, you made a good living. Mm-hmm. Always got paid every dollar you told. With every dollar that I ever got told I was going to make in Japan, I made. Nobody ever stiffed me, and the crowds were phenomenal. They were very respectful and appreciative, and they just love combat sports, of which we were kind of put under that banner.
And incredible at, let's just add that. Well, to continue on in 88, how about Global Florida? You remember doing that?
I do remember Global.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Well,
I talk regularly to Bob Roop,
Oh,
almost daily,
that's
and
awesome.
Mike Brannon, who went under the name Red Roberts in his day, mostly a local guy down south. We did some stuff down in the islands. He's a psychologist now, or he was he's been a psychologist for a long time. Amazingly brilliant guy. They ran Global.
Okay.
And, I forget the guy's name who was the money guy behind it, but I mean, we had a shot at doing something, but with most promotions coming into a territory trying to be that outlaw promotion, even if you have a few bucks, you're never funded well enough. You just bottom line. And not only the funding, but to get to the venues, it makes sense, because most of the territories had things pretty well tied up. Yeah, that was the Knoxville territory too. The Fullers and the Welshes were up there for years.
Yeah.
And so you had to have workarounds for all these venues and people that were used to doing things for the key organization in that area weren't going to do things for you necessarily. So now you have to figure out, okay, well, if I need security, the cops are kind of like over here. What do I do? If I need a venue, but the main venue is always being used by the A-list organization in that territory, where do I go? What do I do? So that's always a problem. We had one good Global really had one good TV deal where we filmed at the I think it was at the Diplomat Hotel in Fort Lauderdale. And the production value was great. We even had Gordon Soley come in after the fact and redo the color commentary.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But again, I think it was one of those things with Global where that one deal pretty much shot their wad financially, and then it petered out. It was actually I think it was a penny stock, if I'm not mistaken. It was traded for a while, that's an unusual thing. But
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I got another question about the Global, because I was a big tape trader back in the day, and I got the run of that in a trade, and that's the first time I ever saw Black Magic Norman Smiley at that time period. Can you tell us a little about Norman around that time period?
yeah, I can tell. I think about Norman. I mean, he was a good guy. He was one of our students as well, and he was. He always just looked phenomenal. I mean, he is a guy that doesn't change. He looks the same now as he looked back then. Physically, it's in phenomenal shape. He's always been a good performer. One of the neat things about Norman is that he's a continuation of our legacy, creating his own legacy that is a continuation of our legacy. So being where he's been at the Performance Center for WWE for so many years, I mean, it's not like I can take pride in what he does because it's his deal, but I take pride in the fact that he got his start and he got his lessons learned at our place with my dad, my brother, and myself. My dad and my brother were there more than I was. Especially towards the latter part of the Malenko wrestling school, I was in and out because I had so many other things going on. And then, because of that, Norman cut his teeth and then did his own stuff and ended up WWE. And now he's been training people for, so it's like, I always tell people it's very biblical, right? The whole Bible thing about, this person begat that.
Begat. Yeah.
Begats. Yeah. So he's one of the begats and he's got other begats and those begats begat us. And yeah.
It's cool to know that essentially the Malenko legacy though is continuing on, because of him. That's even cool.
At some level, I think it will continue on for many, many years. I remember my brother's daughter just started with NXT.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
And she looks great. I saw he sent me one of her matches, and yeah, she's talented. I think she's got some. Depending on any number of little things here and there, I think she's got a good career ahead of her. Hopefully, she takes care of herself and stays safe and healthy, and
have a great career. That would be awesome.
All right, this question actually is not on our list. I just popped in my head. Tell us about Debbie Malenko, because I didn't really seen her stuff until the last 10 years, and it's a shame she never got a run in America.
I don't know if it's a shame. I mean, some people say that sometimes, but I'll tell you, Japan people say that to me. Oh my God, if you'd been here with your brother and this and that, and maybe not, but I enjoyed myself over there. I had a great time over there. I put my roots down in Japan, and I was okay with that. And I was busy here in the States. I can't speak for Debbie, but if I did, it'd be a lower voice than hers. Maybe not. The estrogen kicks in every once in a while with me. Yeah, I don't know if she really wanted much here in the States. She had a great career over there, and she was, she was very well recognized, and she was really good in the ring. Obviously, she wasn't really our sister, but she wanted to take our name, and same with Karl Ognebeni, who became Karl Malenko. So again, it's that whole legacy building thing. Even though they're not blood family, they were part of the whole Malenko system.
Yeah. All right. So I probably should rephrase that. It wasn't a shame she didn't have a career. It was a shame that the American people doesn't know about her work in Japan, because she was top level over there.
Yeah. But a lot of American people, I go to, and I don't go to a lot of them because I'm just not a recognizable person. And I don't say that humbly. I just say that factually. I'm not, I don't go to a lot of these fan fests. But when I go, people know you. Mm-hmm. And the Japan tapes and the both the men and the women, both All Japan, New Japan, all the shoot stuff, everything, they know. I have guys come up to me and they tell me stuff that, like, if you were, I was up in Chillicothe for a Fulton's thing. I had a couple people who were like major Japanese freak fans, and the guy's telling me stuff. I'm like, I don't know. You could have asked him about '88. He probably could have given you a whole year. He could have told you more about 1988 than I just told you, which is nothing. I didn't tell you anything.
All right. Well, hopefully you can remember this. In '89, you were back in All Japan. You won the All Japan World Junior Heavyweight Championship. You beat Masanobu Fuchi. Do you remember anything about that, or is it just another day at the office?
No, I remember that. And, let me correct you, because I do this all the time and people kind of get on me for a little bit, but it's not, we don't win stuff. We're in a position where we sit there, and if we do our job and we do it pretty well, somebody comes up to you and they say, we'd like to give you the title. Okay. Yeah. You would have never told me, look, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you would have never heard me talking about stuff like this, but I don't care anymore.
Thank you.
Was I appreciative? Sure. Damn right I was. I mean, when Baba said, hey, we want to do this, I'm like, oh, thank you, Baba-san. Thank you, Baba.
Yeah.
Actually, I had to look up. I'm like, thank you, Baba-san. Unless he was sitting down at the time.
Very tall. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I remember my run against Fuchi in particular, because he was just, out of all the Japanese guys that I had to deal with, he was like top of the food chain for me. Not that he was the best worker, and he was a great worker, but not that he was like the best worker. He really stood out for any other reason. He was just a really good person, super nice person. I just saw him recently at Osamu Nishimura's funeral, and it's like rekindling what we never lost sort of thing. He's just a great guy. So I remember all our stuff pretty well. I remember our matches very well, and I enjoyed working against him.
Yeah.
If I ever got back in the ring again, and somebody, if he ever said, hey, I want to have one last match over in Japan, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I'd regret it, but
You're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
Direct from Moscow, Russia, at 241 pounds, the Great Malenko. And direct from Babcock Home Furnishing Center at 37.5 pounds, the Great Mattress. And it's a Great Malenko moving out swiftly against the Great Mattress now, catching it with a knee in the corner. The Mattress has not yet had a chance to move out of that corner. The Great Malenko brings it up for a full airplane spin. And this Great Badcock Mattress taking a lot of punishment and abuse from the Great Malenko. Again, Malenko off those ropes now, using his stomps to the Mattress. This Mattress taking more punishment right now than you could give a mattress in a lifetime. Yes, the Great Malenko pounding away at it. Now the Malenko ripping, tearing, clawing the Great Badcock Mattress. Malenko still working on that mattress. And Malenko continues to try and beat that Badcock Mattress, but he can't. He succumbs to the beautiful comfort of the Badcock Mattress. Yes, the Great Malenko is out.
All right, so I noticed something on here on that tour. You and Dean worked each other. I haven't seen the match, but I'm going to start looking for it because that had to just be phenomenal. Because I'm sure it was like riding a bike to y'all two working each other, wasn't it?
Pretty much. We were comfortable. We were comfortable being in the ring and trading stuff. Yeah. And again, it was just nice. It was just nice for Baba to recognize us.
Mm-hmm.
I always was fully understanding of where my role was in the business and where my position was and where I kind of set in the, in the grand scheme of things, sort of stuff. So, whenever I had the opportunity to get a little bit of extra push or, some recognition, I always welcomed it. And part of the reason I always welcomed it was because it meant that somebody was going to give me a few more bucks too.
Yeah.
I was in it because I enjoy the business, but I was in it to make a buck. I wasn't overseas. I wasn't overseas for
charity,
ego reasons. I was overseas to make money because I had a family.
Yeah,
earn a living.
Yeah,
being against my brother was fun. Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah. Well, while y'all were over there, you all worked two incredible matches I've seen, the British Bulldogs and the Fantastics. The Bulldogs match, I quote that match consistently as one of my favorite tag team matches I've ever seen. What do you remember about working those guys over there?
Well, again, I remember a lot, and what I remember mostly is that we just gelled in the ring. It was easy for us, I don't think any of us thought that when we went into that match that we were going to come together in the way that we did, because there were some different stylistic sort of things between the two teams. But we made it work, and it came off well. Sometimes things just hit, and that was one of those nights that things just hit. The crowd was the right way. Corkin Hall is just a hotbed, and then you throw in a bunch of people, and frankly, Tommy, even though he was on the downside of his abilities that were at one point in time, par none, the best, he was still great. He still had that fire. People still loved him. So it all just gelled. Yeah. And the neat thing is that to this day, people say to me what you say, which is, "Oh my God, that's one of the greatest matches I ever saw." Now, I've watched it. Obviously, I've watched it, and I go, I liked it. I thought it was a good match, but I've had better tag matches. But it just clicked, and so I was just at an event where they were launching Bulldog beer, which was in honor of Davy Boy's passing so many years ago. So yes. The whole Hart family was there. Harry, Davy's son, was there. Just a super nice kid, big young man. And so we're all there, and they even look at that match as the sort of the quintessential tag team match. So that's his own family that looks and they were talking about it. They're like, "Oh, that match, yeah, that match." It was a good match.
It was a great match, sir.
It was a great match. But I mean, it just, yeah. When I drop dead, and hopefully it's a few more years from now, that's like the match. Everything else I ever did just fell off to the side. Because when people talk to me, they're like, "Yeah, you had a career, but that match."
It's good though to have that match.
Look, it's a hell of a lot better than your whole career was the shits, but that match really was the shits.
Great point. Okay. Well, the October Giant series, it looks like Dean did not go with you. You actually teamed with Ken Shamrock a lot. At that time, people probably ask these questions all the time, but did you see big things in Ken at that time?
No. Yeah. Did I answer that too quick?
No, that's exactly what we wanted. Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't looking.
Right.
I especially wasn't looking at him for. I wasn't looking at him for that. I mean, we had already, we already had a relationship at some level before he got there, and I knew that eventually he was going to filter on over into what he ended up being famous for. But I wasn't viewing him that. I was just viewing him as he's a tag partner, and we better have some good matches, and hopefully you don't screw things up. Hopefully I don't screw things up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had some good times though. We had some fun. We had some funny moments.
I bet. Well, share one if you'd like, if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That makes the story even better, actually.
Well, most of the really good moments of professional wrestling can never see the light of day.
Of course, understand totally.
All right, so spring of '90, you're still in All Japan. You worked the Wrestling Summit show at the Tokyo Dome, where it was All Japan, New Japan, and WWF. You remember anything about that show? And if you do remember, how did all companies work together on that day?
I mean, as is most things, when companies come together, it's because they realize that by throwing all their hats in the ring, they're going to put on something that's going to benefit them all. And I think, that's why they did that. Then, companies have no reason to come together and do a joint effort type show like that unless the rationale is this is going to further all of us, each of us individually. What I remember, the funniest thing that I remember is that we had a gathering. I think it was before the event. Was it before the event? Shit, I don't remember. But we had a gathering. We had a gathering for the event, before afterwards. And we're at the gathering, and everybody's dressed up in suits and stuff like that, or at least dressed nicely. And that's the first time I had ever met Vince McMahon. I mean, I knew who he was. Obviously, I had met Shane in the gym in Tokyo because he was working out, and he was a young kid at the time. My Shane story is, so we're working out. He came into the gym. I don't remember who he was with. It was with somebody, and we're kind of mulling around. I don't remember if I asked him who he was, or there was something like that. Hey, how you doing? Who you here with? Who are you? Sort of thing. And he goes, McMahon, Shane McMahon. He goes, something to the effect of like eventually. Oh, he goes, I'm with WWE, Shane McMahon eventually. And he said, eventually I'll own it all. And he said that. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I thought he was being a little bit bold and brazen, but then, yeah. I guess he probably did pretty well with the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then when we were the gathering, the party, his dad was there, and that's the first time I met him. As we took a picture together, and I said, well, I'm glad to have this picture together. I said, because it'll at least be a memory of, getting a chance to meet you, because I'll never work for you. I said that. I don't remember why I said that. I think I said it to be funny, but it really wasn't funny. And he kind of looked at me like, that's kind of funny. And so I have a picture. I have a picture with this where we're both smiling, but the smile was because I was laughing at the fact that I told him that I never worked for him.
Jeez.
That had to be rare for him to hear that.
And again, I think I have this way of attempting humor that sometimes falls on deaf ears, even my own.
It's understandable.
It's a Malenko trait. People will tell you my brother's funny.
I've heard that.
I tell people, oh, yes, he's funny. I'm funnier.
Fair enough.
All right. So you told Vince you never worked for him. So this kind of leads to this next question. So you were just mainstaying in All Japan in 1991. Did you get any offers to go work anywhere else around that time?
Yeah, I wasn't looking, and I was pretty vocal about the fact that, well, two things. One is I was always vocal about the fact that I wasn't looking for a shot in the business, a big shot in the business. My dad reached out a couple times trying to get us somewhere in the WWE rankings, WWF, in the ranks, because he was good friends with Joe Scarpa, which ended up he was not good friends with Joe Scarpa because Joe Scarpa didn't do crap. So I, kind of pissed my dad off and ended up burning the relationship. But I never I never pursued. And then the other thing was everybody knew that I also, in '83, I graduated pharmacy school. And I was always involved in a whole bunch of other business opportunities and things that just pulled me in every which direction. And everybody knew about it. So it's not like anybody was coming to me going, "Hey, we know you're not doing anything. Would you like to come over here?" It was always, "Hey, we know you're involved doing a lot of other stuff." Yeah. Good.
Hey, we know you're a pharmacist. Can you help? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a joke. My brother.
That's not a joke. You know how many times people say that to me?
I believe you. Yeah.
Hey.
What can you do? Can you drop a pad?
Okay.
Man, my brother and our co-host is a pharmacist as well. He wished he could be here today, but anyway. So in '92, you left All Japan and went and worked a few shows for PWFG. How did that come about?
PWFG was what? Oh, Fujiwara Gumi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gumi. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big acronym guy.
Yeah, I understand.
No, but Fujiwara was top of the list over there for me as far as Gotch disciples. And, what they were trying to do made a lot of sense in order to kind of keep the legitimacy of wrestling in play.
Yeah.
He had phenomenal guys.
Yeah.
How similar was that to the UWF?
Very similar.
Okay.
The names were changed to protect the innocent, but very similar.
So I remember that this is probably, honestly, the first time I saw you and Dean wrestle as a younger man. WCW in '92 during the Clash of Champions, you and Dean take on Nikita and Ricky Steamboat in the first round of a tournament for the NWA tag titles. Yeah. What do you remember about that?
I remember we were wondering why everybody was saying we were from Austria or something.
Yeah.
It was a weird deal. Well, the biggest thing I remember about it is because I was always geared up more for who I was going to be in the ring with than I was the match in general or the venue that we were at or the organization promotion that was behind it. That it was really who was I going to be? So there's certain people that I looked across the ring at and I went, Dynamite was one, the Funks, Terry was another, Macho and Bob Orton. I mean, I've been, there is no other word, blessed. I've been blessed to be in the ring with a bunch of great guys. And that night I was in the ring with Ricky Steamboat. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of so many, I don't know if there's a better babyface who has come through the workings of professional wrestling. He, his ability to capture an audience and to sell, what the bad guy was doing, bar none, top of the list.
Yeah.
Just a super nice man.
Yeah, definitely. And so then after that, you all head down to Puerto Rico and work Rex King and Steve Dahl in WWC. Was that your first time in Puerto Rico?
I think so.
Okay. How was that experience?
I mean, we keep getting back to the same stuff. So if I'm in the ring with somebody good,
yeah,
and I like who I'm in the ring with, then everything else falls into place. Because if you're in there, you got a bunch of good hands, and you all appreciate each other and respect each other. 9 out of 10, you're going to have a good, decent match. And we had a good match with the Youngbloods the one time we were there. I don't know if that was that time. Steve Dahl and Rex, we knew them from before, so that was pretty easy for us, and I always appreciated their work.
Yeah.
I liked Puerto Rico. I didn't like traveling there because the roads were just so freaking brutal. It seemed like everywhere we went in one of these low-lying cars, and you could feel every bump on the highways.
Oh,
but by the time you got to the match, you were already beat up and tired.
You hear people, they love it because they can sit out on the beach and stuff. Then you hear horror stories about how just how bad the conditions were at some places.
I think it's a mix of things. I think when we were out and about out of San Juan, pretty atrocious conditions. Some of the areas are pretty squalid. San Juan was nice, and the weather was spectacular. The food's great. I love Puerto Rican cuisine, so the food was great. People were good. It was just the roads. The roads sucked. and then we had some good matches there.
Yeah.
Frankly, when the whole thing happened with Brody and Everything got really squirrely after that. I wasn't much interested in being around Puerto Rico anymore.
Understand. Yeah.
All right, so this next question, it's one of those not a lot of people know about, but if you do, you've heard so many crazy stories. So in the February 1st of March of 93, you worked that famous Wrestleriot 93 tour in Australia. We've heard good and bad about it, because but what's your memories about that tour?
Greatest tour I've ever. I mean, as it relates to the entire package, greatest tour I've ever been on. Greatest place I've ever worked. And for so many different things. So, number one, the guy who brought us over was a guy by the name of Michael Murchison. Michael was I think he was either the road manager or something along those lines for Kiss, but he also managed a lot of other bands. I mean, even I think he did some stuff with the Stones at one point.
Wow.
But he was a big music guy. Do you remember there was a series that came out when the lead singer for NXS died?
Michael Hutchison.
Yeah, there was a
Was it the VH1 Behind the Music?
No. Well, it was a series. It was a series that was looking for the new lead singer for NXS.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah,
it was Michael Murchison's series. He did it with what's the guy Barnett, who did The Apprentice and stuff
right.
like that.
The guy who did the Survivor and all that. Yeah.
So,
Mark Barnett. Yeah.
Mark Burnett. So Murch was the creative person behind that. He came up with the idea for the series. Then it got picked up, and he was, he'd been in the music industry for so many years. So when he decided to run pro wrestling, and he was really close with my brother because I was busy. So my brother worked with Mike to pull the tours off. My brother got all the guys together and helped. So when we went, the beauty of it is Murch was used to dealing with all these superstar talented musicians and entertainers coming into Australia. He didn't understand that we were pro wrestlers and he shouldn't have treated us as well. I think he found out later that he probably should have backed off a notch. But yeah, I mean, look, when we first got there for the very first tour, we get into Sydney and we drive to Double Bay and we go to the Ritz-Carlton and we check in. We're at the Ritz-Carlton in Double Bay. Now, if you know anything about Double Bay, it's like, they say it's a ritzy, it's a very Tony section of Sydney. I'll give you a prime example of the Ritz-Carlton in Double Bay. So I walk out, I go to a little store across the street and I look over it and Nicole Kidman is next to me. This is a long time ago. She hadn't really made her name yet, but she's next to me. And then one day we're all up in our rooms and we're kind of talking. We had the windows open. We're kind of talking because there was a courtyard, and so the way it was set up, we could talk out of the windows. And all of a sudden, we looked down. Do you remember the singer Taylor Dane?
Yeah. Tell it to my heart. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
She just cried.
She did.
She just offed herself. She was downstairs. Not to name drop, but that's the kind of places this place was. And the point in all that is that nobody treated the boys like that, and he did because he thought he was dealing with Elton John coming over, or one of the big bands coming into the country.
Yeah.
Thank God he did. We stayed at the best of places. We had the best of food to eat. We traveled on flights. We didn't we weren't chucking around the country in small cars like in Puerto Rico. It was a fun time. The place was clean. Everything was spotless. The people were friendly. Everybody spoke English. They didn't have any language barrier kind of stuff. The food was great. We would we'd go out, like we were in Canberra, which was the capital, and out on the other side of the hotel, the entrance of the hotel, beautiful hotel, classy, 5-star place. Go to the other side. There was this whole grassy field place, and we went out there. We played football, myself and Chris Benoit and a few other guys, and came back in. We sit outside on a little porch and drinking beer, and just beauty all around us, and top-notch facilities, and nobody does that. Nobody does. Not anywhere I've ever been before. If you get that, that's because you're paid for it.
Yeah.
All right, so 94, 95, you did some shows for ECW, and at that time they were starting to pick up a little steam. What was your thoughts of ECW at the time with that style?
So the hardcore stuff that was integrated into ECW and eventually really kind of took over and set in motion some talented guys like Foley, talented in the sense that in that way of doing wrestling matches, he shined. I liked it up there because I like when you walk into a place and there's electricity, and that arena had electricity.
Yep.
It's sort of like all the old gyms my dad used to train in, where you walk into these places and the smell would just slap you in the face, and you'd have to make sure you wash your hand after you grab onto something because you just didn't know. But character. It just had it. Those places have character, and that place had character, and the people were diehard fans, and they were all excitable, and that was fun. And you could tell that some of the guys that were part of that were definitely going to go somewhere because they were hard workers and good performers.
So was there any talks of you staying there, working and teaming up with Dean at all?
Nope. Because we get back to the same thing, which is people knew me. People knew that I wasn't that guy. I wasn't the guy. And I wasn't that guy, and I've always been cautious not to be that guy because I didn't want to be one of these guys to hang around looking for a job, and people are looking at me going, "Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sad." Well, he'll never get anywhere, but he's cute. I never made it known that I was looking for something else.
Yeah.
So in summer of 95, you went and worked for UWF in Japan. Tell us, how much was this version any different from the first UWF version you worked?
Yeah. I mean, it was different. Was that when I worked against Takada?
Yes.
Yeah. It was different. I mean, it was a bigger deal because the Takada match in particular, that was one of the bigger matches that I worked. So, and he was pretty hot at the time, and it was a large arena. When the UWF first launched, we were playing smaller venues, just trying to kind of make a name for the organization and get people used to the fact that here was a different style that was it was a shoot style, and kind of had to intro people to it. But the introduction was already done by that time, and Takada had a good name. We were I forget where we were, but it was a large arena.
Yeah.
Did
you work with Billy Scott during that time at all?
I think I did, but I don't remember for sure. Yeah. I mean, I obviously know who he is.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering because I'm going to put him there because I actually worked some shows with Billy when he first started out here in America in Tennessee. I worked on some shows with him, and the last time I heard he was up. So I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky right now, and last I heard he had a school up here around Bowling Green and had it for the last few years, and it's supposed to be doing really well up here.
Awesome. I'm glad for him. I didn't know him really well. I just knew him in passing, and just we didn't stay in touch or anything.
Yeah.
But it's good to hear he's doing well. I mean, I wish everybody the best.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge unless you're killing people, raping kids, beating dogs. Live your life.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So 95, 96, you go over and work for New Japan. So how much different was it working for New Japan than for All Japan?
So when when people ask what you're asking, which is their legitimate question, how was this different than that? How was this different from that different? It's all the same because the mechanics are the same. The operational piece of everything is the same. You're traveling, to get where you're going. You're with the boys. You're in dressing rooms. The banter is the same. You could almost interchange all of this throughout time, throughout promotions. It's all the same. The BS is the same. The bravado is the same. The jokes and the ribs, they're the same. But they're funny every time. So
how? I'll try to phrase it a little different then. How is Baba and Inoki's personalities different?
Inoki. So when you have guys that are revered, because they were both revered.
Yeah.
There's an existing way there's a way that you're supposed to deal with them, but you could break past that with Bob a little bit. I don't think you could break past that with Inoki.
Okay.
Hey, Baba got to a point where he was kidding around with me. I don't know if Inoki would have ever kidded around with me. I think he was a more serious guy, really, really geared at the legitimacy of the sport. And that's why he did the thing with Ali. He wanted to prove some things.
Well,
He should have done it, or he should have had a different rule set to the fights. But just two different guys. I mean, I look at Baba as this very smart, very great promoter, but a nice man. What I'm not saying is that Inoki wasn't a nice man. He was less approachable.
yeah.
For me. He may have been for other people.
Got it. Okay.
But then I have to say that, and I just told somebody this the other day. So I brought Karl's ashes to Japan. Osamu Nishimura helped me because I wanted to take a piece of Karl because Karl was so revered over there, and that's really where he set his name in motion. I wanted to take a piece of Karl to Japan, so I brought some of his ashes to Japan, and when I did that, Nishimura worked with a bunch of people, but in particular Inoki, to get everything set up to where we had a gravesite at a Buddhist temple, phenomenal place. This beautiful marker that was just gorgeous. I mean, if you look for Karl's grave online, you'll see this obelisk almost type thing, very ornate. Inoki handled most of that stuff. I mean, he really stepped up for Karl, and there was some weirdness to that because him and Karl had somewhat of a falling out towards the end, but he was very appreciative of Karl. He understood what Karl meant to the business and to wrestling in general and to mixed martial arts. So Inoki stepped up, did all this. So when I show up, I show up at the Buddhist temple. All the people start to come in. There probably had to be 40 or 50 paparazzi / news outlets, and it was a big deal. So here I am, I dressed, I have Karl's ashes in my hands, and I turn to Inoki as we're starting to get to the ceremony, and I go to hand him the ashes out of respect because he's, the senior person there. And he looks at me and goes, no. He said, no, you take, you do. And then he steps back. Pretty heavy.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't think people realize how amazing that was when he did. Even in the moment, I went, holy shit. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Because he had every right to go, yeah, give me those. You get back there. Get back of the bus. Back of the bus. I would have fallen in line. I would have just handed him, and because I did that. So I was very impressed. I was very impressed that he did that. He did that for me. That's
cool. That's very cool. Yeah. Yeah. And you did that for Karl, which is even cooler. So altogether, that's very cool.
I owe Karl that.
Yeah. So as we start to kind of wrap up, and man, this has been incredible, Joe. Thank you so much. I do remember, you coming in and confronting Jericho during his and Dean's feud, and Dean's just tearing it up in a singles run. What do you remember about that time specifically? And did they talk about bringing you in as well? Maybe not even as a team.
Yeah, it was a one and done. It was a one off. I don't remember how it came up, but my brother just said, "Hey, we're going to do we're doing this angle, and I'm going to be out of the picture for a little bit." But because Jericho's, pretty much blasting our father, you should show up. Okay. It was kind of neat at the time because I've been in the medical communications, medical education business I've owned some companies, and so I was working with a lot of the pharmaceutical manufacturers and the different teams, marketing teams and stuff like that. So I had a lot of the marketing teams for some of the big pharma brands, and they're all watching. So it's kind of you got to watch, and it gave me, what the wrestling gave me in the world of pharmaceutical marketing and stuff like that. It gave me, I was different, I mean, and I used to say, I said, show me another professional wrestling, Jewish professional wrestling pharmacist.
Yeah.
And people would laugh, and I go, no, I'm being serious. Show me another Jewish professional wrestling pharmacist. Yeah. And what that allowed me to do was kind of just make sure that people remembered me by the wrestling stuff. I hated being asked wrestling. I hated talking about wrestling, but yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Jewish wrestling pharmacist. That's a gimmick.
Wrestling pharmacist. It was my gimmick. Yeah.
I love it. Well, like I said, man, thank you so much for coming on. And I guess I just have one other question. How's Dean doing? Is he doing okay?
He's doing okay. My brother's got a lot of intestinal fortitude, and he's very upbeat about his life.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we're glad to hear that. And you can tell him that I actually owned one of his T-shirts from WCW. I don't have it anymore, but
so you're the one that bought that one T-shirt?
Yes, I did, and my brother will vouch.
Keep an eye out, because we've got a book coming out someday, hopefully before the end of the year.
Very excited. I was just about to ask you about that. What's this update? Yeah. So
it should be out before the end of the year. We're hoping. A lot of people have weighed in on it because of the influence my dad had. So you got guys like Kane and Bob Roop, and they just interviewed Danielson.
Oh wow, Brian Danielson. Yeah.
CM Punk will, he'll do a piece of things. He'll get on the phone. I mean, because again, you just don't realize the tentacles, off of the original Malenko beast that's out there. I just had a video sent to me, and it was Ernie Ladd.
Yeah.
And here's this guy, pretty amazing, healing his day. And the video goes on, and at the end of it, he's like, yeah, Malenko taught me this, Malenko taught me that. And I went, I didn't know that. Flair was in the car with my dad, and my dad looked at him and said, look, stay with me, and I'll show you how to, I'll show you how to make them laugh, make them cry, and make them want to kill you. And so my dad in particular had San Martino, Bruno.
Yeah.
And the list goes on, and people don't know it. The influence and the effect, and the effect that he had on people's lives and their careers, and it is far-reaching. And he was my dad.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to read it and get it. And as soon as we hear the news about that it's available, we'll post it on our social medias to let everybody know, because I'll be one of the first customers. I can't wait to read that. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And once again, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story today, Joe. It's been an honor to have you on. And thank you just incredibly for all the awesome answers you've had to these amount of questions we gave you. So thank you.
My pleasure. Quinton, it's good not seeing you.
Seriously, no, it definitely really was an honor
you look better than I've ever seen you.
I've heard that before.
Thank you so much, Joe. This is awesome, man. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, that was the one and only Joe Malenko. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling after these messages.
Hey, my name is Tammy Reynolds. I am the wife of Forsaken Rick Reynolds, that super cool guy that everybody knows and loves. And I represent West Side Sauces. I make sauces, I bottle them, I seal them, I sell them. I have a hot honey sauce, I have a sweet sauce, I have a hot sauce, I have a white sauce that's so yummy you can use it on everything. They are absolutely amazing, and I'm so proud of them. We make them from scratch. So go on our website, westsidesauces.com, check out our products, read about our story, and go online and order you some of these yummy sauces. And Rick actually uses all of the sauces because he is a die-hard smoker and griller, and so he likes really good sauces and rubs, and I make them, so how convenient is that for him? Go on our website, westsidesauces.com, order you some samples, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you, guys. Be blessed.
All right, we are back, and guys, man, Joe you know, we've heard through the years that Dean Malenko is a very funny wrestler. Like he's one of the most funny wrestlers of all time. And Joe is just right there with him. That was hilarious, but also really good. What a great story. Joe's just a great guy, and really appreciate him coming on and telling his story, and just really meant a lot. So thank you for that, Joe. Hope you had a great time. We surely did. Hopefully we can talk to you soon down the line, but thank you either way. All right. As you know, I've been discussing this for many episodes. Our buddy Pastor Rick Reynolds and his ministry, Gideon's Warriors. If you would like them at your church, go ahead and email Pastor Rick at icw2009@hotmail.com, and you can book them for your church today. Pro wrestling stories from their career and their testimonies. It is an awesome thing to witness, and y'all make sure to check them out when they're in your area. But the most important part is if you want them for your church. Once again, email Pastor Rick at icw2009@hotmail.com. Guys, to continue to keep our buddy Ben Jordan in your prayers. He got some great news at the doctor the other day. Some of the spots in his brain are shrinking completely, so keep praying. The prayers are working. Ben's positivity is at an all-time high. Heck, I got to have a podcast with him on the phone the other day that we just didn't record, so it's really cool to get to do stuff like that, talk to some of your favorite wrestlers. So anyway, keep praying for Ben. Thank you guys for doing it. If you've already done it, keep doing it. We greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, next episode, can't spill it here, but you know the best way and earliest way to find out is on our social media pages at GMBMPW on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Guys, thank you all so much for following, liking, subscribing, all that. Sharing is so important. It means so much to us. Thank you for that. But also, most importantly, we just thank you for listening. So anyway, for the one and only Joe Malenko, our territory wrestling guru, Quinton Quarisma, and myself, this has been Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we'll see y'all next time.
Don't forget.
I'd just like to say I want to dedicate the rest of my career to this man, a true man of respect, a man of
What have you done? Somebody has defaced this picture of Dean Malenko. I got a sneaking suspicion it was you.
I let this thing alone for 5 seconds in the dressing room. Who did this to my picture of Dean?
Well, I'm seeing what you've done in the weeks before this, and certainly whoever it is a lousy artist, I must say that.
That's horrible. You know what this does to me? Who did this? I want names. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. This is a disgrace. This is a fallacy.
Wait a minute, Chris Jericho, you did this, did you not?
That's Dean Malenko's brother, isn't it?
Wait a minute.
That is his brother.
Hey,
that's Joe Malenko.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dean Malenko's brother, Joe Malenko. They teamed at one time. Wait a minute.
He's taking it easy, Joe. This has nothing to do with you. This is between me and your little bro. I got no problems with you, Shooter. I got no problems at all.
Coming from the great wrestling Malenko family, certainly you have got to take exception to this picture and what he said about your brother.
Jericho, you're the Energizer Bunny of poor taste, little man.
I'll go along with that.
You came on here last week, and you disrespected my dad, my brother, and me. When I was in the game, we understood that when people retired from this business after putting in their time and paying their dues, that they got respect from the younger boys. And
you're missing the point, Joe. I have no disrespect towards you at all. I love your brother. I have the utmost respect for him and for you and for your family. Everything's been misconstrued.
What about what you said about his late father, the Great Boris Malenko?
It was all a misconstrued. The truth was, Joe, I have nothing against you, nothing against your family. As a matter of fact, you want to end this now? You want to take the picture and walk out of here? I'll let it lie. I'll leave it. It will never, ever happen again. I promise.
Why don't you take it and just go, Joe? We can leave it at that. Huh? He'll take it. That's it? Okay, fine. Get away from this. I don't care for any of that. Hey, go! Get out of here!
Boy, didn't you know this was coming? Disgraces the picture. Disgraces the entire Malenko family. Joe had been watching these programs along with millions of fans. He knew what was going down, and he was sick of it, and so are we. We're going to step out on Jericho and come back with more on Nitro.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
This has been a James Rock Street production.